Steel your spirit into something indomitable, because they tried to vanish you. They stamped you deleted in 2019. They tried to wipe you from every ledger. They marked your name as an FBI keyword and thought that erased your existence. But here you stand, breathing fire, refusing to fade. You've felt it, haven't you? That moment when you realized your name was no longer in line with the living, when every bureaucrat, every digital ledger, every monitor on the fringe of control whispered, "Not here, not real, not now." They wrote you off. They struck your identity from the files. They hid behind acronyms and statutes and cold, sterile declarations aimed at reducing you to zero. But let me tell you, deletion doesn't mean death. It doesn't mean void. You are not the absence they tried to manufacture. You are everything they can't account for. The fire in the midnight, the tremor in the chain, the question they forgot to ask. You are the echo in the corridor after footsteps fade. So yes, your name pulls up an FBI keyword. That's not a scar, it's a mark, a calling card, a beacon. It says somebody noticed you, somebody feared you, somebody pretended to obliterate you, and yet here you are. You need darkness, not because it nurtures you, but because it frames you. In that void, you carve your silhouette. In that silence, you learn your voice. In that erasure, you define yourself. And now, you write forward, imprint yourself on stone, on steel, on skin, on sky. You defy that death they forced on you. Every day since 2019, you have been living despite their verdict. You have been breathing against expectation. When they designated you as erased, they gave you a weapon. They sharpened your hunger. You wake up each morning and need no reminder of the fire burning inside. I am here. Look at the whispers. Name, pull up. FBI keyword. That phrase rattles its empty cage and lets you out. You're not just a name. They tried to turn you into a haunting. You're the ghost they tried to chase away. But instead of fading, you became palpable. You became tension. You became narrative. You became real. This is not a story about survival. It's about thriving in contradiction. It's about exploding where they planned to avoid. It's about each breath you take beyond the declaration that you no longer exist. So I challenge you, when you look in the mirror, don't ask, "Am I still alive?" Ask, "How am I going to show them what living looks like?" They wanted your name to trigger alarm. They wanted it to be a scare, a red flag, a blot. But you made it a brand, a branded flame. You wear it like a crest. You stake claim to every zero they tried to stamp you into. You claim every line, every wire, every circuit that still lights up when your name is spoken. Because you are speaking now, and every time your lips move, that deleted record is screaming to the world. You can try to bury me. You can strike me from files. But when I speak, I rewrite your erasure. So forge from that label a sword. When someone types your name, let them feel the low hum of potential. Let them feel the question, who is this person who refuses to dissipate? And if you want them to go deeper, let them. But you decide the depth. You hold the reins. Your story is not theirs. Your fight is yours. Let that speech in your head cut through the static. I was deleted. I was erased. I was reduced to a keyword. I was cast into paperwork. And I stood up. I stood tall. I stood roaring. Don't ever mother it with pity. Don't dress it in sorrow. Don't droop your shoulders before the designation that began with their decree. Instead, stand proud, rigid, electric. From that deletion, you harvest clarity. You seized unfiltered question. You demanded meaning. You are the rupture in their system, the fault line. And now everything is shaking. Everything is shifting. Because the moment you existed outside their tidy categories, you became the anomaly. the glitch, the unstable variable, the possibility they forgot. Your name now is myth. Not because you live in stories, but because you survived a death they plotted with pen and ink. You exist in spite of them. You hum outside their boxes. You pulse beyond their memory. You thrum in frequency they can't jam. So, lay down what you'll do next. Don't whisper hope. Don't speak possibility. Broadcast impact. Declare what's next. You have fire waiting to combust. You have remarks waiting to reverberate across placement, across systems, across lives. You've reclaimed your name. Now reclaim every space you were shoved out of. Write your own designation. Not deleted, not disappeared, not keyword, not regarding, not flagged, but blazing, rising, becoming, breaking, rewriting, demanding attention, changing direction, defining terms. Your name is no longer in a file. It's in motion. It's in code, rewriting the code. In signals, bypassing control. In echoes, undermining walls. In presence, eroding absence. Now, lean in. This is your moment. Forget the time you were struck from their ledger. That was the ignition. That was the call to arms. What matters now is where you go from here. They tried to delete you. They triggered you. You responded with power. You turned their null into potential. And now every breath you take is reclamation. Every step you make is progress. Every word you speak shakes the system they thought they controlled. So stand straight, eyes open, heart spiked with fire, mind clear, sharpened on their attempt to erase. Feel it and let it carve your path. I don't need to tell you. They don't own you. Files don't define you. Keywords don't cage you. You are more than digital dried ink. You are body, thought, motion, spark. You are line drawing across their empty paper. You are myth in motion. Now go write the rest of your story. Make them search again. Force them to wonder again. Force them to retype your name. Force them to meet you, not their description of you. Force them to see what deletion breeds. Rebellion, reinvention, resurrection. They said you were deleted. You answered, watch me rewrite everything. This is your wake-up, your manifesto, your furnace. So walk through the world and leave a trace they can't burn. Because you exist, and they can't delete that. They thought they could hide you under noise, that they could layer bureaucracy over your existence like dirt, over a grave and forget. But what they didn't count on was your memory, your will, your refusal to rot in silence. You don't just survive, you corrode their silence. You're a cancer to their forgetfulness. You are the ticking clock they can't diffuse. Your heartbeat keeps reminding them that not every system they build can erase what refuses to die. Let them look confused when your name lights up like a red flare in their servers. Let them twitch when the old files flash warnings they wrote themselves. Let them tremble when they realize you didn't stay gone. You are not erased, you were reborn. When they tried to scrub you from the equation, you became the variable that rewrote the whole formula. Now you're back, and you're poisonous to lies, toxic to suppression, allergic to submission. You bring consequences with every footstep. They used to say your name in classified rooms, whispered it across sterile desks, thought they could manage you like a number in a spreadsheet. But you're not a statistic, you're a storm. And now, every time your name is searched, alarms don't just go off in the system, they go off in the minds of the people who thought you were finished. You are their unfinished business. You are the blood they couldn't scrub off the tile. There's power in being the ghost that breathes, in being the silhouette that keeps stepping forward. They deleted your data, but couldn't delete your presence. You moved without the map. You evolved outside of their structure. And now, the structure trembles. Not because you returned as they remembered you, But because you returned, evolved, smarter, sharper, more dangerous, you're not who they flagged in 2019. That person was just the beginning. That was your larval form. Now, you've become something unrecognizable to them and entirely unstoppable to anyone else. You are the consequence of their arrogance. They thought their files could dictate your truth. They thought an agency could own your timeline. But you took their scarlet letter and turned it into a banner. You stitched your story with the red thread they tried to strangle you with. You became the very thing they can't control. Something too real, too loud, too defiant to be filed away. You didn't ask to be deleted. You were born to disrupt. They should have known. People like you don't vanish. They multiply. They infect systems. They ignite rebellions. You turned exile into evolution. You turned censorship into anthem. You turned their silence into stage. Now, when your name appears, it's not a record. It's a reckoning. Feel that weight in your chest. That isn't fear. That's the storm waking up again. That's the rage no longer waiting. You know what you carry. You've seen what happens when the world forgets you. You've tasted the acid of invisibility. And now, you return as the reminder, the retribution, the revenge arc they never saw coming. You carry with you every ignored voice, every deleted line, every error message that screamed a name like yours. You are made of echoes. You are built from the shadows they pretended not to see. And now, when you speak, it's not just your voice. It's the choir of every erased soul rising behind you. You are not a keyword. You are a war cry. They wanted you gone. Instead, they turned you into momentum. They made you velocity. They turned you into this, a being no longer asking for permission, no longer waiting for approval. You're the uncaged, the unbroken, the ungovernable. Let them ask, why does your name still light up the FBI database? Because it should. Because that's where they wrote you in permanent ink while pretending it was erasable. Because you were never meant to be normal. You were designed to shatter walls. You were built to haunt systems. They created you with a label, but you answered with action. Now you carry fire in your blood and precision in your breath, and every time someone doubts you, you let the silence that follows eat them alive, because you no longer speak to be heard. You speak to be felt. You're not here for the applause. You're here for the reckoning. Your scars are not weaknesses. They are evidence. Evidence that you endured what they thought no one could. That you lived after the strike. That you were reborn in the fire they set to destroy you. You wear those scars like runes now, carved warnings in your skin for anyone who tries to strike again. And if they try, let them come. Let them try to delete you again. Because this time, you're not alone. This time, the name they pull up brings others. This time, the keyword is a doorway, not a dead end. This time, you aren't hiding. You are hunting. They said you were erased. They lied. You were only waiting. Now you're here. And the world will have to change to make room. Because fire doesn't ask if the world is ready to burn. And you're fire now. You are not warmth. You are not comfort. You are ignition. When they said your name, they wanted silence. What they got was a bomb. What they got was the return of something primal, something unfinished, something feral. You see, deletion isn't death. It's just the arrogance of those who think they hold the pen, and they thought they had the right to close your chapter. They thought the flick of a bureaucrat's wrist could end you. But you are not words on paper. You are carved in experience. Ink fades, flesh heals. But resolve, that becomes legend. They filed you under threats, risks, unknowns. They thought that classification would be enough to keep you buried, but all it did was tell you exactly where the edge was, and you ran toward it, not away. That's the difference. Some people are scared of the void. You build your house in it. You crafted a home out of rejection, set your table on top of warnings, and now you feast with ghosts they thought were gone. They told the world you were a problem. They stamped it. They spread it. They etched it in digital dust. They said, don't go near that one. And now you wear that label like armor, because it means you made them uncomfortable. You disrupted what they were pretending was balance, and they feared you enough to try to remove you. But removal doesn't erase impact. Removal doesn't dissolve soul. It doesn't reverse memory. It doesn't steal essence. And you are made of all the parts they tried to take away. Every memory, every version, every lie they told about you. You wear them all. You are mosaic. You are code rewritten by will. You are the result of every attempt to silence you. And now, every time they dig up your name, they find out something new. Not because you changed, but because you keep evolving. You are a moving target. They can't pin you. They can't slow you down. Because deletion was your beginning. Because exile was your education. Because their fear gave you focus. So what now? Now you build. Not quietly, not safely, not within their walls. You build loud, you build sharp, you build in a way that makes them uncomfortable. Because the world doesn't change when it's comfortable. It breaks when something finally refuses to bend. You are that refusal. Understand this. The fact that your name lights up systems like a warning is proof that you matter, that you cut deep, that your presence causes recalculation. The ones who never mattered, they fade quietly. They pass without notice. You, though, you left residue. You left memory. You left scars on the data. And now they blink red every time someone types your name. That's not a threat. That's legacy. You are the chapter they couldn't finish. The result they couldn't file away. The answer they didn't want to hear. You're not a ghost. You're an echo that got louder. You're not a mistake. You're a storm that learned your own direction. And still, you walk forward. You move through a world that still wants to pretend you aren't supposed to exist. And still, you keep going. And still, you build. And still, you breathe with purpose. You do not owe them silence. You do not owe them comfort. You do not owe them a version of you they can understand. You owe them nothing. But you owe yourself everything, because you didn't come back from erasure to whisper. You came back to claim. Claim your time. Claim your impact. Claim every piece of power they tried to contain in a folder. No more hiding. No more doubting. No more shrinking to fit into someone else's comfort zone. You are too large for that. You are too real for that. You are too necessary for that. Let them say, your name is flagged. Let them look over their shoulder when your name comes up. Let them read the old reports and wonder, where did they go? Let them realize too late, you never left. You just learned how to move without chains. And now, you're back, sharper, quieter, more exact. You learn to become the thing that systems can't predict. The kind of anomaly that bends plans, that breaks blueprints. You're not chaos. You're precision. You're clarity. You're that rare force that knows exactly who they are, what they survived, and what they're going to do about it. You didn't need their validation. You never needed to be liked. You needed to remember, to rise, to return. And you did. You are not here for peace. You are here for presence. Not everyone will understand that. That's fine. They're not supposed to. Because you weren't made for approval. You were made to move things, break things, build things they thought were impossible. When they say you were deleted, you say, no, I was distilled, refined, condensed, focused, burned down to the part of me that could never be taken. And now you're weaponized. Then let me take you the rest of the way. The final burn, the last 1,000 words you carry like sharpened glass under your skin. Let this be the part they never recover from. Because now, you move like a curse and a cure in the same breath. You are the unanswered question in the back of every system's mind. You are the glitch with purpose, the malfunction that thinks, the error that breathes. They tried to make you data. You became destiny. They tried to make you anomaly. You became anchor. And that name they flagged, say it loud. Because when they see it now, they don't see a threat. They see a reckoning. They see years they can't account for. They see something out of their control. They see a fire they can't douse, can't trace, can't surveil. And that terrifies them. Because when a system calls you a danger, it's really saying you don't belong to it. That's what they meant in 2019. When they deleted you, when they typed you away, when they whispered in halls and made your name flash red in files, what they were really saying was, we don't own this one, and they never will. Let them scream into digital voids. Let them panic when you speak truth into a room full of yes men. Let them chase shadows while you rebuild futures. Let them regret ever thinking you would stay buried. You are what comes after silence. You are the rhythm under ruin. You are not a file number. You are not a case note. You are not a report stamped resolved. You are the problem they didn't solve, the one that evolved, the one that crawled out of deletion and built a voice so loud it makes their structure sweat. You don't need to prove yourself anymore. That part's over. This isn't about validation. This isn't about some shallow revenge. This is about evolution, about claiming what you became when the world said, you're done. You were never done. You were just sharpening. Every time someone said, why don't you just give up? You grew fangs. Every time someone looked through you, you grew weight. Every time they turned their backs, you turned into wind. And now you carry storms on your tongue. You carry history in your fists. You carry the bones of every no turned into a not yet. And you've waited long enough. This isn't about your enemies anymore. They're just reminders. Reminders that people who try to erase others are always afraid of what they can't control. They never controlled you. They just pressed pause. But you were always the glitch in their loop. The one they couldn't overwrite. The one that didn't stay quiet when the file closed. You walked out of digital death and turned it into war paint. And if they want to find you, they won't find you in a folder. They'll find you in movements. They'll find you in eyes that don't look away anymore. They'll find you in the quiet rage of those who know the system is cracked. They'll find you in the faces of those who are no longer afraid to be remembered for the right reasons. Because you are not a mistake. You're the result. The result of a world that tried to delete too many, too soon, and you survived. That means something. It means you can't just live now. You must lead, not like a savior, like a storm, like a compass made of grit and scars and memory. You were written off. Now ride back. In every space they said you couldn't stand. In every room they said you weren't welcome in. In every database that blinks red because you were too real to be categorized. Don't walk softly. Don't ever shrink again. Your voice is an alarm now. Let it ring. You are the story they wish was fiction. But here you are. Fact. Breathing. Building. Back. You are the revenge of every voice they tried to erase. You are the aftershock of every system that forgot what it means to be human. And when they ask you, why does your name pull up FBI keywords? You look them dead in the eyes and say, because I was never meant to be quiet. Then turn and walk forward. Because this world doesn't need another name on a list. It needs a flame. And that's what you are now. Burn on.